Hey, what's going on, parents? Happy Teenager Tuesday. Welcome back to myself, Will Perry, lead student pastor here at Hope, with Johnny Luvender, Prosper student pastor, and we are talking through research that has come out from a Gen Alpha big research paper from One Hope. You can find this, actually, parents. You can go to onehope.net and find that research as well and comb through it. There's Again, it's over 60 pages of just a lot of statistics. So Johnny and I are really kind of talking through hey, these are things that stood out to us because we think it's important for the context of our parents, our families, especially those with middle schoolers, 8th graders about to be freshmen, and incoming 5th graders, or incoming 6th graders. Maybe parents are starting to listen to this as well. So as always, if this is helpful for you, if it's applicable for you, and if you think of a family member, a neighbor, somebody that goes, you know their other parents, please share, subscribe to our podcast so that more people can be helped and all that stuff. So, Johnny, as we were talking about this next part that talks about family and the influence that family has on spirituality and in students' lives, you were talking about this idea that they talk about in here called rooted.
Yeah, so rooted is this idea, and it comes from how 90% of Gen Alpha that they surveyed reported a positive family experience. So their view of home, regardless of household type, that includes blended families, single parent homes, etc., they love their home, or they have this positive view, and that really sets up the foundation for really what the research is about, which is where students go whenever they have a real question or or maybe enter a time of need, which I thought was really interesting. So
it's really cool. I don't know the research from other years, other generations of teenagers, middle schoolers primarily, saying about their family, 95% of us, we love our family.
Right.
And it didn't matter with family dynamics, right?
Right. Different dynamics.
Blended family, single family. It was all about 90% there's this generation that is rooted in family.
Yes.
Which is pretty cool.
Right.
Especially post-COVID. You spent a lot of time together during COVID.
Yeah, and I don't know if I reflect on my personal story if I'd say that. Maybe if they pulled me when I was 10, but who knows? I have no idea.
Oh yeah, that's
but
true.
I'm surprised as a student pastor because we do see all sorts of family dynamics, and that's a lot of people's pain points.
Yeah.
So to hear 90% would articulate, yes,
but they had a positive, not a perfect.
Right.
Yeah, but a positive outlook on family.
Right.
And maybe that's encouraging to a lot of parents out there. Another thing that was surprising to me in this research, it said overwhelmingly so, teenagers said that their parents are the most important place for their most important questions.
Right.
Wow. I love that.
Right.
I absolutely love that. Statistically, I thought it was funny, one of the questions that they asked in here was, when I have questions about religion or God, I usually select to fill in the blank. 84% of teenagers said, I ask my mom first. 84%. So moms
Let's
out
go,
there,
moms.
You need to be theologians. You got this.
You better have the answers.
Yeah, have the answers.
No pressure.
Research. Seriously, that's pressure. What if they have a question? Johnny, what would you say to a parent if they came up and said, my teenager, there's someone like, oh my gosh, Titus. Titus? What's
Silas?
Silas.
Yeah. One of the Bible names.
Yeah, Silas loves asking questions.
Yes,
Say one of his parents came up to you and said, they're like, he asked me questions, but I don't know how to answer these questions. What do you do with questions as a parent that I don't know how to answer the question? What would you say to a parent?
Well, I think the first step is asking for guidance. If you feel like you're in a place where you maybe you don't feel like you can speak over a topic and you want a more biblical or theological approach, that's why we are here. This is why we do what we do. This is why we have the parent podcast. And it's why we're available every week, on campus so that we can help shape maybe your answers or maybe your future answers. So I think asking for help, asking for input, not doing it alone. And then, there's tons of resources Hope has, but there's other great resources outside of Hope for parenting specifically, So just expanding this would be one. One Hope is going to continue to do next gen research, and it's going to be applicable to your student as the years go on. So just locking in to what they have in their newsletter, et cetera, would be really, really good. But I think asking the question is the beginning to maybe being more equipped.
Yeah.
I do know you have tons of experience with parents. maybe there's a little bit of shame, and if you feel like you don't have the answers and you feel like you can't ask,
Yeah, and I would tell a parent, like, hey, if you don't know the answer, it's okay to be like, I don't know, but let's find out together.
Yep. Research
Like,
together.
like absolutely be prepared. There's people out there like Frank Turk. He does a lot of like Q&A kind of things. Cliff. There's other people who are more apologists that answer these difficult questions, and you're like, I don't know how to answer that. Well, they've worked on
Definitely
the research and the study.
Yeah.
Yes. So there's that out there, but it's also, I think it's okay as a parent to be like, I'm not really sure, but let's find out together.
Right.
Don't like leave it as like, I don't know, or like, don't worry about it, because those conversations are coming. Like dads, even in that same question, for the dads out there, 4 in 10 said, I go to my dad. 4 in 10 said, I'm going to go to my dad first. And this is kind of funny, but 1 out of every 5 of them, again, answering this question, they could pick 2. That's why there's like 84% plus 41. They could pick 2. So another, 1 in 5 roundabout said that they would go to another trusted adult, teacher, coach, which is a lot of people. When you make sure that they have some, like a good voice that you trust, parents, that would echo what you're saying. Like I would say, parents, you're the most important place for their most important questions. And how about you just come be a small group leader for Hope students and be your child's small group leader also. Like we have parents that do that.
Absolutely.
And I mean, also what other, some of my favorite small group leaders that we have are parents. They're
Right.
current parents because they're in it and they can be that added voice. Something that we say as a ministry is we can never replace parents, but we're always here as an added voice and a resource. You know? So,
and so we had a really cool moment at Prosper just the other week, but we did our leader rally, and a ton of parents are small group leaders. And so we kind of just created space for parents, for our leaders actually to thank someone in the room or maybe call them out and just encourage them. And what was cool is by like the 3rd or 4th person is it was like, thank you so much, so-and-so, for what you've done in my life. And then the next person will go, well, thank you what you're doing in my kid's life right now. And so it was this chain reaction of just people who are pouring into someone's student and being their small group leader. And those are the parents that, if I can just tell a pattern when I see it, it's like those parents have children that are being invested in because they're so present.
Hell yeah. Yeah.
And I don't think it's on accident or just a coincidence,
No, that parent influence is big. There was, again, in this research, they said, like, when it came to Bible reading, if students who said, I read the Bible on my own at least once a week, at least weekly, 67% of those same students who said, I read the Bible all the time, or by myself once a week at least, 67% of those students say, my parents read the Bible with me.
Right.
Like that's a lot, almost 7 out of 10 who say like, yeah, I read the Bible on my own. Oh, also in addition to that, their parents are reading the Bible with them.
Right.
And another 60% said that I see my parents reading the Bible. Like something that a pastor at a different church once said that I thought was so good is this idea of getting caught reading your Bible, which we've talked about on this podcast before. Let your students catch you reading your Bible. That's a big influence. Even prayer. Prayer, similar thing. For students in this research who said, I pray on my own at least weekly, they said that 85% of those students said that their parents pray with them. 85%. And 75% said, I see my parents praying. Like that, again, your influence is just massive. Don't let any kind of attack of the enemy try to undermine you as the parent and say, well, I'm really not that important. Or like, yeah, that's research, but my student is different. They don't want me around. They don't listen to me. Like your impact in their life spiritually for this lifetime and the lifetime to come, man, it matters. It matters. You can do this, parents.
Right. You are your teen's primary guide. There's no way about it. It's definitely not true if you think we are, because we only play a small role. But as the research shows that they go to you and they are looking for guidance from you. And something that I heard recently from a parent with teens is just encouraging this idea of scheduling one-on-one time. And I think in a business context, or maybe you've experienced that, where it's like you're going to report to someone and give them the rundown, right, of what's going on. But how powerful would it be is if you built that time into your schedule, and maybe you don't tell them, especially if your kid knows, like, oh my gosh, this is going to be awkward. They're going to ask me awkward questions. We're going to go to coffee and I know what's going to happen. Maybe it's just casual, but on your calendar, on your agenda, you're going to pull them aside or take them out to do something just to get unfiltered time so you can be available to them. You can't make them share whatever, but the truth is, according to what the research shows, is that they are open. 62% would be willing to share and be vulnerable with their parents. So just something to think about.
Yeah, that's good. Leaving you today, I just want to continue to encourage you to just live by example. We know this, you know this, it's not a secret. Actions speak louder than words. You will always be the primary influence in your teenagers' lives. So get caught reading your Bible, pray with them, be influential, be overly influential. And it's better to be spiritually awkward with them and kind of figure it out than it is to be like, it's too late. I'll just, I'll outsource that. You've got this, parents. Always remember, you can do this. You're not alone. God is with you, and so are we. Have a great week.